The Life Application Study Bible, King James Version, published by Tyndale House Publishers Incorporated, Carroll Stream, Illinois, provides 131 personality profiles of biblical characters, Old and New Testaments. The personality profiles of biblical characters describe their roles in the Bible. If they supported the main character or they themselves were direct descendants in the genealogy of Jesus. Their personality profiles includes strengths and accomplishments, weaknesses and mistakes, lessons from their lives. The profiles are in alphabetical, not chronological, order. However, I am researching each character to find additional information. If you are enjoying and learning from these videos, click the like button and subscribe. Sister Lydia Ward, presenter. International Version. David, Nabal and Abigail. 25 Now Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him, and they buried him at his home in Ramah. Then David moved down into the desert of Paran, A certain man in Maon, who had property there at Carmel, was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. 3 His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. For while David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. 5 So he sent 10 young men and said to them, Go up to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. 6 Say to him, Long life to you. Good health to you and your household. And good health to all that is yours. 7 Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel nothing of theirs was missing. 8 Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore be favorable toward my men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them. 9 When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. 10 Nabal answered David's servants, Who is this David? Who is this son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. 11 Why should I take my bread and water, and the meat I have slaughtered for my shearers, and give it to men coming from who knows where? 12 David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word. 13 David said to his men, Each of you strap on your sword. So they did, and David strapped his on as well. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. 14 One of the servants told Abigail, Nabal's wife, David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. 15 Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them nothing was missing. 16 Night and day they were a wall around us, the whole time we were herding our sheep near them. 17 Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. 18 Abigail acted quickly. She took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs, of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisins, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on donkeys. 19 Then she told her servants, Go on ahead, I'll follow you. But she did not tell her husband Nabal. 20 As she came riding her donkey into a mountain ravine, there were David and his men descending toward her, and she met them. 21 David had just said, It's been useless, all my watching over this fellow's property in the wilderness so that nothing of his was missing. He has paid me back evil for good. May 22 God deal with David, be it ever so severely, if by morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him. 23 When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. 24 She fell at his feet and said, Pardon your servant, my lord, and let me speak to you, hear what your servant has to say. 25 Please pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name means fool, and folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the men my lord sent. 26 And now, my lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives and as you live, since the Lord has kept you from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands, may your enemies and all who are intent on harming my lord be like Nabal. 27 And let this gift, which your servant has brought to my lord, be given to the men who follow you. 28 Please forgive your servant's presumption. The Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my lord, because you fight the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live. 29 Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God, but the lives of your enemies he will hurl away as from the pocket of a sling. 30 When the Lord has fulfilled for my lord every good thing he promised concerning him and has appointed him ruler over Israel, 31 My lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my lord success, remember your servant. 32 David said to Abigail, Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. 33 May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. 34 Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, not one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak. 35 Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request. 36 When Abigail went to Nabal, he was in the house holding a banquet like that of a king. He was in high spirits and very drunk. So she told him nothing at all until daybreak. 37 Then in the morning, when Nabal was sober, his wife told him all these things, and his heart failed him and he became like a stone. 38 About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal and he died. Abigail's personality profile, King James Version, Life Application Study Bible. Some men don't deserve their wives. Abigail was probably the best woman Nabal could afford, and he got even more than he bargained for when he arranged to marry her. She was beautiful and more suited than he was to manage his wealth. But Nabal took his wife for granted. Despite his shortcomings, Nabal's household did what they could to keep him out of trouble. This loyalty must have been inspired by Abigail. Although her culture and her husband placed a low value on her, she made the most of her skills and opportunities. David was impressed with her abilities, and when Nabal died, he married her. Abigail was an effective counselor to both men in her life, working hard to prevent them from making rash moves. By her swift action in skillful negotiations, she kept David from taking vengeance on Nabal. She saw the big picture and left plenty of room for God to get involved. Do you, like Abigail, look beyond the present crisis to the big picture? Do you use your skills to promote peace? Are you loyal without being blind? And what challenge or responsibility do you face today that needs a person under God's control? Strengths and accomplishments. Sensible and capable. A persuasive speaker, able to see beyond herself. Lessons from her life. Life-challenging situations can bring out the best in people. One does not need a prestigious title to play a significant role. Vital statistics. Where, Carmel. Occupation, homemaker, estate manager. Relatives, first husband, Nabal. Second husband, David. Son, Chilib, Daniel. Contemporaries, Saul, Michael, Ahinoam. Points to ponder. Wisdom describes Abigail's actions in response to her husband's, Nabal, refusal to bless King David. We will never know why Abigail married Nabal, but we can summarize that she must have saved his life and fortune on many occasions. Abigail must have developed a positive reputation with the servants, because they, voluntarily, informed her of the situation between Nabal and King David. In the text, Abigail intended to send the offerings to David before she met to talk with him. When we truly want to be a blessing or give a gift to someone, we should send the gift or blessing in advance. The blessing/gift should not be contingent on the outcome of the difficult or situation. Points to ponder. Second slide. King David extended mercy to Nabal at his wife's request. How many wives in today's world would have taken matters into her own hands to stop the issue from elevating? Bible verse Romans 12 verse 19 New King James Version. Do not avenge yourselves, beloved, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. We do not take matters into our own hands. Anger can be a killer. Imagine Nabal being so upset because his wife resolved the issue with King David, thereby saving Nabal's household, including the servants, and yet Nabal's anger led him to sickness, then death. Did you know that Nabal was a descendant of Caleb? Book of Exodus. Caleb and Joshua returned with a good report. The 10 spies returned with a negative report after spying on the Promised Land. Nabal came from a faithful and brave family line, Caleb. Also, during those times it was common knowledge the issue between King Saul and David, future king. Therefore, Nabal have known King David was next in line to be king. Nabal was described as mean and surly or badly behaved in some versions of the Bible. Eventually, Nabal's behaviors cost him life and fortune. The question is, what really happened to Nabal to make him mean and surly? 1 Corinthians 15 New King James Version. The risen Christ, face reality. My purpose for publishing the 131 personality profiles is to A. Share the gospel and B. Remind you it's not impossible to grow in godly wisdom and truth. Background information: Apostle Paul wrote the book of 1 Corinthians around 55 AD in the city Ephesus, near the end of his third missionary journey. 15 Moreover, brethren, I declare to you the gospel which I preached to you, which also you received and in which you stand, 2 by which also you are saved, if you hold fast that word which I preached to you, unless you believed in vain. 3 For I delivered to you first of all that which I also received, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, 4 And that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures, 5 And that he was seen by Cephas, then by the 12. 6 After that he was seen by over 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain to the present, but some have fallen asleep. 7 After that he was seen by James, then by all the apostles. 8 Then last of all he was seen by me also, as by one born out of due time. 9 For I am the least of the apostles, who am not worthy to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. 10 But by the grace of God I am what I am, and his grace toward me was not in vain, but I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the grace of God which was with me. 11 Therefore, whether it was I or they, so we preach and so you believed. Next Bible personality profile with B on Abimelech. People who desire power always outnumber those who can use power wisely once they have it. Perhaps this is because power has a way of taking over and controlling the person using it. This is especially true in cases of inherited but unmerited power. Abimelech's life shows us what happens when hunger for power corrupts judgment. His story is told in Judges 8:31 to 9:57. He is also mentioned in 2 Samuel 11 verse 21. If you find these weekly Bible personality profiles helpful, click the like button, subscribe, and share with those who you think would benefit from these experiences. Sister Lydia Ward.